I come from a sales and leadership background. I've been with Andy Elliott for the last 6 years. I came from delivering Chinese food to selling cars, making my first $100,000 when I was 20 years old. I literally was just one of those guys that dropped out of college just trying to figure it out, got in sales on accident, right? Anybody like just stumble into the trades or into sales on accident, right? Nobody ever like plans on getting into sales and just being like, well, it's my sales, this is gonna be my path, right? Just kind of stumbled there. And then I make my first $100,000 and I'm training with Andy, and then boom, my dad drowns in a pool, changes everything in my life. I go out to work with Andy. He calls me. He says, hey, why don't you come out here to Arizona? Why don't you come work with us? And we're going to go and impact some people. We're going to train some people and really going to take this thing to the next level. And I just said, screw it. And I came out here. So I come from a sales and leadership background. I by no means claim to be the home services expert. We're a sales world, leadership type of world. And we focus on a couple areas in that business. So today I'm going to talk about scaling leadership and recruiting for the trades. So first thing I wrote down here, leadership starts with self-leadership. Right? I'm going to talk about hiring and recruiting, some very tactical things today, but I want everyone to think about this, right? Who has a team in here? Raise your hand, right? Who is a solopreneur or just an entrepreneur, like just kind of themselves? All right. So here's what I want you guys to think about. If you want to be able to build a team one day, right? You're not going to be able to do it alone, right? You're going to need clients. You're going to need a team. You're going to need people around you. Leadership starts with self-leadership. I watch a lot of people. You know what people say? I can't find the right people, man. You know, these guys, Gen Z doesn't want to work. You guys ever hear that? By the way, guilty. Who's ever said that? I've hired people and I'm like, dude, what's up with this generation, right? Who's been there? Raise your hand, right? We find ourselves complaining. But by the way, there's people that are working hard. I've seen great companies and I've seen shitty companies. Haven't you guys? So the only thing that we can do is look at ourselves in the mirror and go, well, what can I control? What can I do? What are the people that I can attract? What's the brand that I can have? What's the reputation I have in the marketplace? And why would someone want to come work with me? And that's all we can control. So leadership starts with self-leadership. How are you leading yourself? How are you leading your team? Leaders have followers. I want everyone to think about this. Who is a second in command or like a right hand? Raise your hand. Maybe you're not the owner, but you're a right hand right here. I want everyone to think about this. The leader isn't the boss or the owner necessarily. It's the person that people follow. I want you guys to think about this. In your circle with your clients, I brought a few clients down here. Ben, brought Ben down here, brought some of our guys. Give it up for Ben. Crazy transformation. Leaders have followers. These are people that decide to follow you, not because of a title, not because of the money you make, but because they like the way that you live. I want you guys to reflect. If you guys want a bigger business, you want a bigger team, how are you leading yourself? You have to start with the self. I think a lot of people are always so focused. They come to these conferences, they say, well, what's the right strategy? What did you do? What was the thing that you did? What system? And yeah, you have to have all that right stuff. But I see a lot of people, no disrespect, but I don't know if I'd want to work with you. What core values do you stand for? What do you tolerate in your business? Are we just stroking checks for people, or do we really develop people? We're not in the business of the trades. We're not in the business of marketing. We're not in the business of AI. We're in the people business. If you're in sales, we're in the business of people, customers, our team, our people. So leaders have followers. Right here I wrote bosses versus leaders. Bosses versus leaders. There was a time, it was about 6 months ago, from transitioning to, another role that I'm taking on now. And hopefully, I get to run this company pretty soon with Andy. But I was having some trouble with one of our teams. Everybody ever have trouble? You got the sales side and then you got operations sides and it's just clashing all the time. Raise your hand. Everybody ever have that? It's two different types of cat for an appropriate reason. And so I was communicating with our ops side, trying to get some things done. I text Andy and I'm just texting Andy. I'm like, why is this person not communicating? Why am I having so much trouble? We got to sit him down. We got to have a conversation. He told me something that changed my life. He's like, it's not what you say, it's what you do and how you act. And I started to look at how I was communicating with these people. And it was just from a place of being a boss. Hey, I need this done. Hey, why isn't this done? And it wasn't from a place of good intent. Everybody think about the word do you have good faith with your people? I don't think that, my perspective is, I think that the people that work for us or that work for me and work with us, they're not people that are just showing up, not trying to get the job done all the time. That's the intent. When we get hired on and we hire somebody on, I don't think that they're just missing the mark every single day. But a lot of times we're frustrated with them missing the mark. And so I started coming from a place of empathy, started coming from a place of, hey, I know you're working really hard, Dylan. I see all these things that you're doing. And, I know that you got a lot on your plate. Is anything going on in your personal life? Or is there anything I can help you with? Hey, by the way, I know this project has taken a long time. Is there anything I can help you with? Right? The deadline was yesterday. What can I do to help you get it done? And I started to realize that the communication bleeds into every single area. And by the way, this is very difficult consistently because you're like, why pay your bills? You're going to get the job done or not. Or you can decide to do this. You take an inch, you're going to go a mile with this type of empathy with your people, but people don't want to do it. Everyone's just bossing, writing a check. And this is why people burn out, because people don't feel valued. You want to keep somebody for 5 or 10 years feel valued. You know, the reason I've stayed with Andy Elliott for such a long time and with the skill set I have is because I feel valued. I feel like he's always giving me a better opportunity, a bigger plate to play on. So think about this. Are you the boss or the leader? All right, I wrote down here, build culture that breeds future leaders and internal accountability. What does this mean? Let's break this down. What is the culture? I want everyone to participate. Can we participate for just a second? I want everyone to shout out one word that your culture really amplifies. What is it? Is it unity, discipline, integrity? Let me get a couple more. Attitude. Love that. What was that? Dedication. Growth. Tenacity. Production. Love it. Energy, integrity. All right, so we have to build a culture that breeds future leaders. I watched this happen. I call this the 3-year cycle. I watch a lot of business owners that are fairly decent, and they have fairly decent people. And then it comes to a place where the business they're doing that $10 million mark. They have their personal life taken care of, but not their people's personal lives taken care of. And they get to this place. And what happens is your people keep leaving you. And you're like, why do my people keep leaving me? Well, you think you're going to keep an A player around if he doesn't have a place to step into leadership, if he doesn't have a place to step into a higher comp plan, if he doesn't have a place to do something bigger and run a team? How purposeless would an A player feel if he was crushing it for 3 years in a row, making a ton of money, and then he looked up and went, where else do I have to go here? This is great. I love the culture. I love this, but where can I go? And a lot of times as business owners, people say, oh, if you're not growing, you're dying. I want you to really think about this. If you do not grow your business and provide opportunities for the next layer down, the next layer down, and the next layer down, you don't actually maintain. You keep losing and having to rehire, retrain. When it's honestly a little bit easier just to keep going, keep taking that risk, keep stacking on those wins and keep growing, because that's what's going to keep people in your business, giving them the next opportunity, the next team lead position. Everybody, think about that one person they have in their business right now. They've been with you for 3, 4, 5 years. They've been an A player. Are you providing the next step for them? If not, they leave. So you can't blame it. Oh, well, I don't know what happened. Got to provide that opportunity. You must have a clear vision and share it often. Where are you going? People talk about mission, vision, core values. I understand that. They're on the wall. But where are we actually going? What's the purpose behind your business? I want you to really think about that. I think that the reason that I believe the Elliott Group is very special to me is because we find a way to take people's personal lives, ingrain them with the business. And I know that may be a bit much, but one thing I love is watching one of our EAs or executive assistants. They got a baby. They're eating lunch. Or I go downstairs and the spouses, they're having a little lunch break together with their family. Think about how bought in the spouses are going to be. The husbands, the wives, the kids, when we get to see them, and when you actually do that. That might be a bit much for some people, but I honestly think we're in a different generation than 10 or 20 years ago. People want something different. People want a place where they can feel fulfilled. So what is that clear vision? You must be able to establish trust and credibility. You have to be the example. I keep talking about leadership over and over and over. What are you asking people to do? Are you asking people to make phone calls? Are you asking people to shoot DMs? Are you asking people to knock doors? What is that thing we're asking them to do? Have you done it yourself? Do they have trust with you? Do you have credibility? Have you shown up and shown them? I think a lot of people, we ask people and demand people to do this one thing, hit this KPI, make this call, do better here, but we've never actually taken the time to sit down and go, hey, let me sit down and make some calls with you for 30 minutes today. Let me just show you how to do this. Let's record it. Let's do it together. I'm going to help you land your first deal. Instead, we just throw them out there. We hope that they make it, and we just kind of, put them on their way. So I want you to think about this. If you can be the example, people will work so hard for you. Anybody, you ever work so hard for the wrong person, right? You get screwed over. I watch business is just, one thing I absolutely hate, the statement, it's just business. It drives me crazy. I want to slit those people's throats and put them all out of business. It's just business. Yeah, it's just going to be business when you just want to screw over all your people, not pay people out. I've watched it happen in the solar space. I've watched, it's just business. Oh, it's not about to just be business. It's going to be personal. So I want you to think about that. So I'm going to kind of transition this from a little bit of leadership. The single most important system in your business is the one for identifying, recruiting, hiring, and training the team. One of our business partners, Jonathan Wisman, anybody ever heard of a company called Who Hire? You heard of them? Right? Kick-ass hiring company. They have a software. We ended up partnering up, invested $2 million in them, and I'm really doing some big things. And I've gotten the chance to be mentored under Jonathan Wisman for the last year or so. And I'm going to share some awesome things that I've learned from him. And also having done over 200 interviews, hiring over 50 people internal inside of our company, and also another 50 in another group of companies. So this next kind of half, I'm going to start talking about recruiting, leadership, a little bit of that. So I want to ask everybody in here, who has a sales team in here? Raise your hand. Who has a sales team? Question you got to ask yourself is, do you have a recruiting system? A recruiting system. Do you have a way to predictably put people into the pipeline from the top all the way to the bottom? Do you have a system? Most people don't. Most people just do one-on-one interviews. They're letting anybody do it. You know what I think is crazy? I watch people. What are most HR people? They're an 18 to 23-year-old person straight out of high school, and they're looking at job applications. And they're most oftentimes than not the most unqualified people in our business to be vetting the front end of our business. I want everyone to think, we haven't really thought about it because we're always focused on the rest of the things, but the people that are coming into our business, we have an 18-year-old, 20-year-old, or someone that's never been in the industry for more than a year and really understands what to look for, what traits, right? Because we're building most of our people. I don't know about you guys, but I don't find A players left and right that are like, I'm ready to go. I got to take a guy and he's like, I'm 19 years old. I sold sneakers in high school and I want to sell. I'm like, cool, you got a job, So do you have a recruiting system? Here's a quote that I put right here. The valuation of your business is directly tied to the quality of your people. Again, we're all in the people business. I want everyone to think right now in their head, what is the quality of people that I have inside of my business? If I were to line up your whole team, 10 for 10, 50%, what amount of, I want everyone to think this, and if you're taking notes, you can put this in your phone. Let's say you got 10 people. How many are A players? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 5? They all have A player potential. How many are B players? How many are C? How many are D? And how many do you need to have a conversation with and just decide to part ways because they're lowering the standard inside of the company? You only get what you tolerate. And by the way, you can test out the theory. I've seen it a million times and I've gone through it myself where I'm like, oh, let's just keep them around one more month. A year later, next thing you know, the whole standard of the company is lower because I made a decision as leader to keep lowering it and lowering it and lowering it. And next thing you know, all my savages, for all of a sudden, now they're not on fire because they're around a bunch of turkeys, right? Turkeys overrun with stallions. That's something that Brad Lee says. You guys are seeing him. Is he on later today? Tomorrow. Brad Lee, he always says that. How are you treating the quality of your people? What training process do you have in place? And by the way, you don't need to get our training program. I'm just saying, do you have a training system, black and white, onboarding? What does onboarding look like? Is it built out? Is there an SOP from the minute they walk in? Do they learn everything about what they need to learn about? Then do they have a shadow phase? What does it really look like to interview, to hire, to recruit, then to onboard, ramp up? I watch most people, they didn't even think about this one thing inside of a business. Ramp up time. It takes most companies 3 or 4 months to ramp up. And then they end up ramping up half of the people that are completely wrong. They don't make it past the first 90 days. It's one of the most important things that we just don't really think about inside of our business. All right, so let's look at this together. Can everybody see this? All right, so I'm gonna read this out loud. Here's some stats. This is a technician churn is an epidemic. So here's some technician attrition rates. Electrical, around 55% 2-year attrition reported by electrical contractors. Plumbing, approximately 56% 2-year churn in residential plumbing firms. HVAC, 55% of HVAC technicians leave within 24 months. So I want you to imagine pouring 12 months of training into a brand new 90K service truck into a recruit only to watch them walk away before the warranty on the truck tires. That's the reality for more than 1/2 of hires across HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. It's not just painful, it's operationally unsustainable. I did a little thing in ChatGPT the other day, and I was like, hey, I want you to break this down into 3 categories. Everyone follow me. This is a little complex. And I said, I want you to break this down into 3 categories for me with jobs that will be affected, the most impacted, right? So number 1, AI will severely impact or replace was category 1. Number 2 was moderately affect or enhance. And then the third one was 0 effect, AKA the jobs will never be replaced. You know what AI told me? You know what ChatGPT told me? Trades will never be replaced. So you know what that means? It's the most beautiful time. You know what's crazy right now? I don't know a lot of you, how many of your business owners are in here or not. Private equity right now, you are in a gold mine for the trades. And if you guys don't wake up, you're gonna miss it. I'm not even in the trades. I don't even own a business. I just watch it happening. I just talk to these guys. I'm like, oh my God. Just thinking about it. You have this window right now, this next 5 years, it's gonna be a rush of people. And you're either going to get the school in place. You're going to get these guys trained. You're going to have your onboard process, your recruiting, your hiring process dominating. You're going to get your guys trained. Most people, you know what they do in the trades? They just fill a truck out of necessity. They just fill a truck. Why are we doing that? You know, you think about, it's not like they're just a phone salesman and we just pay for a script and some leads. We got to get a truck. We got to run ads. We're doing all of these different things. So we should pay some attention to the thing that matters the most, which is the actual person in the truck. So let's look at this too. Turnover costs significantly impact profitability. Let's read this out. So we got turnover costs, lost productivity, callback expenses, recruiting costs, retraining costs. For a mid-level tech earning 70K, that's 50K straight off the P&L. You know what we don't calculate on the P&L? How many people didn't make it? And you know what the biggest thing is? We go into a lot of these companies and we'll go, what do you think the average churn is for this role? Oh, maybe 10%, maybe 20%. Almost 100% of the time, it's over 50% for a 12-month role in most companies. You know why they don't look at it? Because they don't want to. How much does it cost you versus your A player versus your C player? What's the difference? For an HVAC technician, it can be anywhere. What's the difference between an A player in your company versus a C player? Monthly. 30 grand? But like gross 150 grand? It's a big difference. So think about hiring the wrong person, or think about what it costs to have, the right person there. What's that difference? But every single day, especially for a company his size, he's got 100 trucks. What does it look like when you bring on 10 or 20 wrong people? You're just straight filling trucks. You're looking at $1 million a year, but people don't want to look at that. All right, we got one more. You guys like this so far?
Yeah.
All right. HVAC workforce shortage, right? So let's look at this. 110,000 positions are currently unfilled in 2025. Annual technician exits, 23,000 technicians leave annually due to retirement. Steady exit rate, annual exit rate is expected to remain steady. There's a high job ratio, 1.8 open jobs per available technician. These are unfilled technician positions. If someone would have grabbed me in high school and been like, hey, you can make $250,000 a year being a plumber. I'm like, are you fucking with me? I delivered Chinese food and sold cars and worked 29 days and I was a slave and they treated me like absolute shit. I'm just being honest. And a lot of you guys you're not these big corporate dealerships, these big corporate companies. You're small mom and pop businesses that just want to provide a good life for their team and their people. So let's look at this. So 3 questions to ask yourself as a leader. Are you fielding the right team? Write this down or take a picture of this. Are you fielding the right team? Are they sticking and staying? And are they performing? What does fielding mean? It means that whole front end process like we've been talking about. Are they sticking and staying? What's your retention rate? I would challenge everybody, just if they took away a couple things from today, go back and look at all of the people that you've hired over the last 24 months, 36 months, and look at your real churn in some of your sales roles. Like just look at it. And then put the math behind it. Put 70K. Watch how much it's actually costing you. You start to take the process a little bit differently instead of just getting somebody thrown in a truck because you're bleeding and you need to put somebody there. And then are they performing? What's the training process? You got Michael O'Donnell here. You got Brad Lee coming. You got Michael Burt. You got Sam. You got all of these people here today. The question is, what are you going to do with the information? I just put down here, I don't have too much time. I got how much time left? 5 minutes. All right, so I'm going to blast through this last couple minutes, but if you guys want to scan this, I don't have a whole lot of time to walk through just what it looks like to do an interview, but you guys can scan this. It's just like a free little interview cheat sheet. I'll drop that over to you. There's no pitch, there's no nothing. It's just straight value for you guys. Just some things that I look at when I go and do an interview. I basically walk them through 1 through 10 and just start ranking them on stuff. And then I'll basically all the way through and kind of have like a full-on ranking. So that's a little cheat sheet for you guys. Team with the best humans dominates is what we've been talking about all day long. Here's some excuses that most people say, like we were talking about earlier. No one wants to work anymore. It's impossible to find loyal people. The job market's tapped out. Great people always go to big companies. My industry doesn't have enough talent. These are excuses and lies that we tell ourselves to sell us on the fact that we are not the right company that is attracting the right people, or we don't have the right processes in place, because all we can do is self-reflect. Here's some winning truths. The right hire pays for themselves 10 times over. Loyalty comes from leadership and culture. Talent follows opportunity. I out-recruit the competition. Last one, retention is a system. Retention is a system. I know you guys don't think about this because I didn't think about this until the last couple months, until Jonathan really sat down and really walked us through what this looked like. Retention is a system. What does it look like when someone hits a milestone? 50K, 100K. What does it look like when they're starting to show leadership skills? Do you guys have pods and breakouts and trainings? It all starts with culture. Today's harsh reality, 10% of A players, right? This is your average. Let's say you got 100 people in your company. 20% of your B players, these are your survivors. And then rest of the 70%, these are your C players. These are people that are gonna churn out in the next 12 to 24 months right here. We focus so much time and so much praise on these A players. We push these B players to keep rising, but there's not enough tension on this 70%. There's not enough attention on it. So know the numbers, 240,000 in losses to your bottom line, every bad hire. 56% of new hires leave within their first year. 64% of companies have issues finding qualified candidates. So I want you guys to think about this. There's the old way of hiring. This is what most people do. Manually looking at applications, manually booking interviews, conducting multiple interviews. You know what happens? I watch people. You ever meet somebody and immediately within the first 30 seconds, you're like, there's no way I'm gonna hire this guy. Like, for sure. But you sit down and you know what you do? You go and do instead of an interview and you're just sitting down right back and forth for a whole half an hour or an hour because you want to be nice. You're like, well, I don't want to be mean. They drove all this way. Next thing you know, you're doing those every single week and you're being nice to all these people that you knew in the first 2 minutes. You're like, no way, no shot. You got like sweats on, bro. No way. So here's what most people look at. I would recommend putting some type of process or some type of thing, whether you just build out something yourself or you decide that you want to, come look at some of the stuff that we have, but just decide to look at some things. The old way of hiring is a disaster. It's slow. It's ineffective. It's built on nothing but gut feelings and guesswork. And so we have a process that's pretty cool. I won't get into it at all. If you guys want to look into it, more than happy to share that with you. But we have a whole system that we've partnered with where they send it an interview, they send it a video before I even talk to them. There's a whole process. And you can do this on your iPhone, by the way. All you do is just require, and they send in a video, you send them a questionnaire and say, hey, send these 2 or 3 videos in before you come to the interview so we can see if it makes sense. That can be your system. You don't need to have this. By the way, if you have a solid company and want to, cool, happy to talk to you. We have something pretty cool, and I'll end off with this. So the company that we had partnered with, Who Hire, it has a predictive model. So basically, long story short, without having to read all this, I want you to imagine that there was 1,000 HVAC technicians in the market, and then we did a personality assessment on all 1,000 technicians. And then we put them out into the workplace, and 6 months later, we got their real-time performance back. So how much revenue they actually produce in a month. Then we came back, we have data scientists that created a new data point. What that means is we're able to accurately predict with feedback within 15% of what someone can perform pre-hire based off an assessment. So if Eric has certain traits that he has and there's another 20 other HVAC technicians, we can accurately predict how well they're gonna perform in HVAC. The companies, this is the last thing, the companies that master their hiring, they're gonna dominate their markets. If anything you guys take away from today, look at your hiring process, audit your hiring process, put some processes in place, start to figure out what you need to do better. And then if you guys want us to check it out, more than happy. I'll also do a free 15-minute recruiting and hiring process audit. I'll help you guys out. I'll give you guys my documents. All I want to do is just provide value for you guys. I'll look at your process. I'll make some suggestions, whether you're mom and pop and you got maybe just 5 people, a couple trucks, or you got a solid company. More than happy to recommend a couple different ways for you guys to get involved. And then obviously, if you guys want to look into some of the stuff that we have, we got a kick-ass system. If you got a kick-ass company that's growing, we help with that too. With that being said, thank you guys.